Hi everyone and welcome to today's video on easy STEM setup experiences. Sometimes early childhood educators do not know how to set up STEM or science, technology, engineering, art and math experiences in their rooms, especially if they're working with youngest children from 0 to 5. So let's have a look at what STEM is first. STEM or STEAM is science, technology, engineering, art, and math. It is a new trend, definitely, and it is embedded in the EYLF, especially in the outcome 4 and outcome 5. So you can find references to STEM throughout. And here are some very basic ideas how you can start with STEM or STEAM. Let's start with the first one. It's sensory exploration. So sensory exploration would be pretty easy to start with. So sensory exploration requires you to set up sensory stations with materials like water, sand, clay. I also like to use some corn flour or any expired resources that are not valuable food products. Children can touch, feel, manipulate these materials, and they might be quite unusual, like ice, frozen flowers, jelly, kinetic sand, and even snow. Depends on where you are or what is available at the moment. So this is an example of jelly STEM experience, which I had in different colors, and that was an expired jelly. Children absolutely loved the texture, and they didn't eat it because I was talking about not eating these experiences as well. Building blocks. That would be pretty easy one to extend on to include STEM as well. For example, you already have a lot of blocks. Today I went to the Early Childhood Education and Care Center, and I was in toddlers room, and toddlers are amazing because they do love to explore things, and STEM actually is incorporated really well in toddlers playroom because they like to explore schema. Schema, if you remember, it's a Piaget term for anything that children do about their understanding of the world, and in this case building up, knocking down, pushing, throwing. So today we were throwing those soft blocks into the basket, and I had quite a good group of children who really got interested and involved in this exploration. Some would throw it this way, sideways, some would throw it far, and they would observe how far it goes, and then they would run. So it's not just physical experience, it's definitely about trajectory, it's about inertia, it's about speed, it's about acceleration and force. So all these physical ideas are just through mess that you create with simple blocks. Another easy one is to add ramps, which are usually wooden planks, but you can use any resource, rescue resources that I love to pick up from these wonderful places where you can find some random things. So this is a wooden plank, for example, and you add a nice track, and then you have a tire, and you create different tunnels, different ramps, and children explore gravity, inertia, speed, and acceleration as well. Another easy one for you to start using is nature discovery. Nature discovery is fantastic and easy STEM or STEAM experience because you have seeds, you have soil, you have all this available in almost all centers or family daycare centers. So for example, when here in Australia we had this Woolworths initiative Pots of Fun, I planted a lot of things with young children when I was doing my relief early childhood shifts. For example, we planted beans, and you can see that could even add the stick with the name, but I added it. But children also can draw on the sticks. They can start taking pictures, measuring, observing, and just watching the growth. So this is definitely nature discovery STEM experience that is easy to start and is very accessible. As you know, Storykate is also a huge fan of worm farms and composting, so that's another definitely scientific experience, because what happens to all our food scraps is an amazing chemical process that also is related to biology, ecology, and very, very rich in terms of learning. Next one, my favorite, it's, you know, that STEM is quite often called STEM, and A is for art. So I'm a huge fan of process art, but if you think about how art is related to science and technology and design, and also to math, it is related, right? So for example, if you add a lot of non-toxic paints, let children experiment with finger paints. So what they're actually exploring, not just art, not just the medium, but they're also exploring the qualities of paints, such as velocity, stickiness. So if you add salt, let's say, to aqua paints or water paints, you will see how they change. So that's also chemistry, right? So not to mention math that is involved through drawing and mark making, like circles, squares, triangles, etc. You can also see what happens to paints when it goes through paper. Yes, so this is also a physics. Yes, so and you can see tension of water in this experience that I have on the right, in the right top corner. So it's a marbling. So marbling is a Japanese technique that is, you can buy this set. It should be non-toxic. So it's very important to use non-toxic one, or you can just use oil and paints, and you can see what happens is mixing, non-mixing. So that's a true chemistry, right? So, but at early childhood level. So I think mixing also can be explored through, as I was saying, like spray paint. So you can see that this shows like that that paints that they sprayed on the easel are going down. So we see gravity in action. So it's not just art experience, it's always science as well. So these are just some examples. I have many, many more art examples, such as pendulum painting, which you will see, etc. But yeah, that's really easy and accessible STEM experience. Another one is focused on math, because STEM is math as well. So you use stacking rings, shapes, orders. All centers have those ones, counting games. But also remember that we have natural resources such as rocks, sticks, and these resources can be used in your sorting, classifying, and also measuring experiences. I will talk more about maths using natural experiences later on, but in this video you can see that this is the easy one to look at. The other one is storyteller, excuse me, and literacy. So we can set up a reading corner with a lot of books that include scientific topics or topics that are related to STEM experiences. We can encourage children to ask questions and make connections. For example, there is one really great book on creative thinking called This Is Not a Stick. Yeah, and there is another one that I like, This Is Not a Book. So a lot of books that are similar, but also there are similar books on dinosaurs, plants, CETA, birds, gardening. So you can find anything. When I was exploring these topics with my group of preschoolers, I would go to the library and borrow a book and then bring it back. So you don't need to buy this book. Sometimes the borrowing is enough as well. So some typical examples that people associate with STEM or STEAM are science experiences. Yes, so in our case, simple science experiments are easy to set up. So I'm going from left to right. So here is a balloon that was inflated through bicarb soda. That's the one underneath, bicarb soda and vinegar experience. The hardest part for children was to put this balloon on the jar. So we were practicing a lot. We spilled a lot of vinegar bicarb soda solution, but we were wearing gloves as well, like true scientists, and we were protecting our eyes with goggles. But this was, of course, guided by a teacher experience. So the other one was a floating egg and dissolving calcium on an egg. So that's a typical experience as well. Then we were trying to grow avocado from the seed. We were exploring rain and clouds through shaving cream and food dye, which was also quite cool. Here, a use recycled jar. Then we made a volcano with bicarb soda, of course, and food dyed vinegar. We did our own concoctions, and whenever I go to preschool room, this is always their favorite. They do love this experiment. You also can, of course, experiment with sink and float, but sink and float could enhance by building boats. So these are our boats, and we build them using the candles, wax. Yes, so we had wax in my center, and then we built those little boats and had a little bit of a race as well. So it's a lot of cool stuff you can do here. Another thing that is easy to use as your curriculum area to enhance STEM learning is music. Yeah, so music is not just fun, it's not just art and creative experience, it's definitely related to science, because music is science. So we are hearing sounds at sound waves, so that's basics of physics. Yeah, we're also making different sounds because of, let's say, string instruments, and you can learn about guitars, make your own little instruments as well, and that's amazing. In terms of also building things, so STEM, engineering, you can engineer your own musical instruments with children and build them. Not to mention that notation is related to mathematics, and you can teach children rhythm, which is preparing them for more advanced mathematics. Next one that you can look at is outdoor play and physical activities. So outdoor play spaces like climbing, structures, tunnels, balance beams are present everywhere in every center I go. So for example, A-frames. But you also can introduce all these keywords related to STEM through intentional teaching. For example, you are going over, you are going under, you are going between. Yeah, it's further apart, it is closer, etc. So using this language of math is very important part of our intentional teaching in early childhood. Next one is technology exploration. So here you will be introducing specific items such as this one. So that's a model of a body, very expensive. Not everyone has them, but you also can buy now a lot of amazing things in Kmart. I noticed the model of an eye I have a model of a heart, which cost me about $10, but they have the whole aisle full of interesting educational toys and interactive toys like that. So anything that is cause and effect here is also amazing. I'll show you in the pictures below. So this is just a collage. So, and I will just show you the pendulum painting here with the red paint, showing also physics. Yeah, and it's not just mark making, but it's related to pendulum as the key concept of physics as well. So an interesting one is balloons as well. I'm not using balloons anymore due to sustainability, but these were leftover balloons from resource rescue, so I used them. And you fill them with, let's say, air and water, and then you compare which one is heavier, which one is lighter. The same can be done if you put some sand into the balloons, or you can put it in buckets and make it wet as well and dry. So it's a lot of opportunities to explore tension as well. So what happens to the balloon when you drop them? And believe me, children love that. And this also helps to explore the schema and gravity and weight. So really interesting instrument of learning. Unfortunately not very sustainable, but if you have leftovers, maybe you can use them. So ice, my favorite STEM experience is to freeze water, especially water with color, especially water that is boiled or water that is not boiled. So to see different colors, how they mix as well, adding some frozen things in water, such as dinosaurs and crocodiles and whatnot. And then you see it really is interesting experience, especially if you add salt, because salt dissolves ice as well, helps to speed up this process. So here on the right you can see this frozen balloons that I put in the water table with rocks, and they can compare like how water becomes cold as well, what happens to water when it's frozen. Yes, so and how it cools down the whole bowl of water. So it's real STEM experience. I also like to see what happens to the textures when you put them in those jars, to see how they leak color. Yes, so what happens? How do we get color? Where do we get color from? So this is also STEM experience with old textures that you were going to drop at your closest office works or bin it. Next one is nuts and bolts. That's an easy one. So that's pretty much related to technology and I would say architecture and just building as well. So that's really easy to start with toddlers, and then you can make it more advanced, like pulling apart tinkering table with old keyboard. So just make sure that there is nothing toxic there, but that's pretty easy one. Of course, any explorations relevant to dinosaurs are always scientific. So if you see here, I had one. And this one is very interesting on, there is a rock that we heated up in a microwave. And then we melted crayons on it. So that's STEM as well, because it's how things interact and how they melt at temperature. So we were exploring that. This one in the middle is one of my favorite experiences. It's called Glow in the Dark. I really love this one because it does show children what's going on and why this particular chemical is glowing in the dark. So how did I make this? I actually used phosphorus, non-toxic alternative to phosphorus, so the one that is glowing in the dark sticks. But of course I didn't allow children to use them. It was all hot glue gun and safe, but we had to go inside the dark room and see what happens, how it glows in the dark. Similar experience to this one would be light table. I had a picture of it, but then I removed it. So everyone has light tables, but you also can use projector. So when you project the image on the wall, and that's exploring light qualities. The other one that is easy to build are, as I was saying, ramps, but also you can create simple sorting station, which children learn not only about gravity, but also colors and sorting. So that's math and science, and fine motor skills together. Of course, geography can be introduced through many experiences, such as puzzles like Montessori, big country puzzles, or world puzzles, or globe like this one. And you can also add balloons, as I was saying, but also bubbles. Bubbles are concoctions of soap, and you can make different concoctions or potions, such as long-lasting bubbles, bubbles with sugar, bubbles that are made of polymers, etc. You also can introduce STEM or STEAM experiences through inquiries about our bodies or any inquiries that children might have about nature. So ecological problems, pollution. So these are just few examples. What do you think about STEM? Is it easy to it? What are your favorite STEM or STEAM experiences? Have you done any of these experiences in your classrooms? Maybe you have some more ideas for everyone in this community. Please share and post the comments below. Thank you for watching. Bye.